good evening to all our viewers in Australia. I'm sure there's a lot of them over there following TJ Doheny and his career to date. We're delighted, TJ, that you came along and gave us some time for a bit of a chat. You are one of our few world champions ever from Laois. I'm sure the anoraks at home will be telling me afterwards, you have to mention this fella, this lady was a world champion, that lady was a world champion. But I'm not going to list them. We're just delighted to have the former IBF Super Bantamweight World Champion with us today. TJ, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks, John. Thanks for having me on. Been
Delighted.
little bit nervous with the anticipation to a live interview. It's my first one, so go easy on me.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's my first live interview. Yeah, not that I do many interviews, anyways. I'm always swerving them, but
Right.
no, I couldn't say no to the famous John Hayes now and the Laois people, could I?
Thanks, TJ. The infamous John Hayes. The infamous John Hayes. That's a surprise because I watched you. You gave a great interview to Will O'Callaghan 2 months ago, and I just
Yeah.
assumed it was live.
Yeah, I know it recently, John. I kind of no, it wasn't live. No, it was. I think it was posted 24 hours. But yeah, recently I was more. I used to get really anxious before them, and then people would be contacting me. You want to see my inbox, like when I become world champion. The amount, like that's why I'm still very little known. Is because
Yeah.
I don't really like to do interviews, and I'm quite a private person. I like to keep myself to myself. But I've been getting used to the interviews now, and don't really mind them now. I quite enjoy them. So yeah, I've just been accepting them a little more regularly these
A
days.
little, a little more. That's great. Well, thanks for accepting our invitation today. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, just kind of we're in limbo at the minute, aren't we? Everybody is because
Yeah.
it's just such uncertain times. We don't know what we're going to be doing or when we're going to be doing it, and especially even in my position being a professional boxer, it's kind of like it's a full contact sport, so we don't know when things are going to open back up. So I'm kind of waiting on to get a date again and when I can get permission to travel back out to America and start a real proper training camp. Like, as we all know, America is one of the hardest hit countries in the world right now. So if I am to get into America, I'm going to need some serious paperwork and to get permission to get into the country and yeah, commence my training camp because I can't accept a fight date without being able to get into America to do a camp because we all seen what happened back in March when I tried to do my own thing back here in Australia. It was nothing got to do with training in Australia. It was more just that I didn't have my head coach Hector Bermudez with me. I was kind of doing things on my own, and it cost me
Yeah.
dearly.
Actually, on that point, I just got a text there from Stephen. Um, he's in Port as well last night. He mentioned the fact that Hector wasn't running that training camp. Like, well,
No,
how does that make a difference? Because in some of the interviews I've watched of you, you were saying, well, I did all the work, but
yeah,
maybe not the work that Jesus, basically Hector, would have basically forced me to do.
yeah, exactly. So it's like this. Um, to put it short, I was in shape. I could have went 15 rounds, 20 rounds. I was fit,
Hmm.
but I wasn't fight ready. So I was thinking to myself, look, I'm in shape. I had little time to get to America to do a campaign. So I said, I'll just meet Hector out there and he can give me a voice in the corner. It should be enough. Me being complacent and overlooking my opponent, very disrespectful to my opponent, very disrespectful to the sport is the main thing.
Hmm.
And I paid the ultimate price for it. But back to Hector, yeah. So I got myself in shape. I trained here. I had Hector on the phone, but it's not the same. I need him with me 24/7. Like sometimes I stay at his apartment if I haven't got my own Airbnb. So you're 24/7 with your coach for 8 to 10 weeks. He's in your ear all the time. There's no cheating. There's no cutting corners because he's telling you what to do, telling you what to eat, and everything. Like you're fight ready. And plus, you have that little bit of spite in you as well because when you're away from your family and you're missing them and that's in your head as well. You're like, I'm doing all this for them, and this is why I'm away. And you're just that bit more hungry. And I don't know. I think I was in my comfort zone going into that fight, and a fight that I should have won comfortably, but I should have been still going in there in fight mode. And I just went in there too lax, and I
Yeah.
just couldn't get going in the fight. Even though like it could have went either way, still I should have been going in there and blasting a guy like that out and just moving on in my career. I know it's kind of put a little stop on me. It's going to set me back 6 months till I get myself back in position. But yeah, look,
you called it a speed bump.
yeah, it's a speed bump in terms of, like, I was about to walk into a world title fight, and or at worst a world title eliminator, because I was highly ranked across all the governing bodies in the world. I was ranked number 1 and number 2 in all the governing bodies in the world, and yeah, I could have held out, I could have held off and waited for the opportunity to present itself, which would have been probably mid to late year. But I'm a workhorse, John. I'm in the gym all the time, because I'm a full-time athlete, and yeah, I just wanted to get a fight. And so I spoke to my management. They said, look, we'll get you a hit out to keep you busy. And obviously it's like a keep busy fight. So it's a fight that you're expected to win. And yeah, it was just a little banana skin, and I just had to get back on my feet, get back to winning ways. And then we're straight back into world title contention, because a loss doesn't define me as a fighter. I'm still a world class, probably in the top 2-3 super bantamweights in the world.
Yes.
But with a loss sitting there on your record, you can't be demanding anything till I get myself back in that position. So yeah, the main thing is to get back out with Hector and spend as much time as I can now. And it's given me the kick up the bum that I needed, John, because it was my own fault and I'm paying the price for it now. So there'll be no more of that carry on. It'll be all out to Hector, and everything will be 100% professional and above board from now on.
And like down the line, like what is the destination for you? A rematch with Ramon?
So at the minute, right, Roman has since become a unified champion in our unified fight. He's defended against a young kid called Ahmed Aliyev, MJ they call him. So he's the unified champion of the world now. He's 8-0. He's a phenomenal amateur. He just broke onto the scene, and he's become he's made history by becoming only the second person to unify a boxing division within 7-8 fights. So I think yeah, so that was back in January. So at the minute, in the back of my head, Roman rematch has to happen, and it will happen because the fans are crying out for it, and it's a fan-friendly fight. Everybody wants to see those fights, no matter how much time is in between. But at the minute, we're kind of on different roads. Danny's pushing to get back and become a world champion, and so am I. So I want to get back in contention, become either a mandatory challenger, or hopefully, one of these champions might think that I'm on the slide and I'm a name in the super bantamweight division. They might want to just take me on because of my last loss, and more fool them, because if that happens, they're in for a big shock, But yeah, the plan is to get back into contention, and I want to fight the world champions. I want my belts back, So probably if I could get into position for Ahmed Aliyev now, I know he's got a mandatory coming up against the guy who I beat for the world title in Japan, Ryosuke Iwasa. So he has to get through Iwasa. So we have to wait for all this COVID-19 stuff to open back up and get their fight scheduled, which I pray that it happens by the end of the year. But in the meantime, I'll be ticking away, and I'll be pushing myself back into position. And when the time comes, I'll be sitting pretty in the rankings again, and ready to go at him, But yeah, I'll welcome any of the world champions, anybody with a belt. But obviously, there's always that fight with Danny Roman, who I look at as the real loss in my career. He took my world title from me, so I want to avenge that loss. And I only lost.
Respect for him, don't you?
I do, is because I tell you, John, if somebody gives me bullshit, excuse the words now, but he'll get it back off me, and that's just the way I am. If somebody shows me disrespect, they'll get disrespect back off me, and I get fiery. That's just the way I am. I'm very fiery, but Danny Roman is just one of these guys who I couldn't get fired up, and even afterwards I was thinking I kind of befriended him when I should have been looking at him with a squinty eye in the build up to the fight, even though but he was just so friendly, and it wasn't hidden.
Yeah, but if you look at the scoring, if you see the scoring in the bout, one judge had it 113, 113. The other two was 116, 110.
Yeah, I know it.
You're like a fingertip away.
Yeah, exactly, John. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, it was on the night, and I think what might have happened was I got an early knockdown. I got caught with a silly shot in the second round, and I wasn't hurt, but my legs went, and so obviously it's ruled a knockdown, and it's a 10-8 round. So from there I was on an uphill battle. But I think from the knockdown, I think that might have just caught the judge's eyes, and I might have been watching Roman a little more. And as the fight was going on, I fought my way back in. It was neck and neck at around round 7. We all know round 7, I nearly had him knocked out. And that round still plays over and over in my head every day. I watch it back every now and then as well because it gets me fired up, you know. But yeah, I was so close to becoming a unified world champion. I was a coin flip at the end, you know. A lot of people gave me the decision. I accepted the loss. I thought myself there was probably a round in it, but a lot of people, what I can agree with on a draw. But when you're the away fighter, you got to remember that there's always going to be that bit of bias for the hometown fighter, and it wasn't only his home city. It was his suburb. He lived in Inglewood, so he literally probably came from his house to the dressing room in the place, you know.
Yeah.
Where I have to fly halfway around the world to get these big opportunities, you know. And I could have, like, and another thing is, John, as well, like a lot of guys become world champions and they just sit in behind their belt and they'll do easy defenses and all this. Like when I became a world champion, I thought that's it. I'd be made up. I'd be happy, and I could like kind of not that I have a decision to retire, but like it was more. I probably enjoyed it for about a month, and then I was like, right, what's next? And the belt went into the corner, and it would only came out for photographs and stuff.
Yeah, because when you won the belt in Japan, like a lot of fighters in your position would have said, "Okay, we're going to freewheel. We're going to keep the belt as long as we can, fight inferior fighters." But you want the titles. You want to go and match yourself against the best. So it's to your eternal credit, in a sense.
Yeah, exactly, John. And that's what I was after. Like, and it wasn't. I'm not looking for I'm not looking for any validation from anybody, but it's things that I need to prove to myself. Like when I won the world title, I know I'm a world titleist. I'm not the best in the division yet. Well, I haven't proven I'm the best in the division. So the next step is to go and fight another world champion. And I came up by a nostril hair is how short I came to becoming a unified champ. But I'm very critical of world champions who are world champions for 2-3 years and haven't unified and blaming promoters and this and that. And trust me, as a professional boxer, the fighter has the last say, no matter who advises this or that.
So
Because
they're dodging the big fights.
yeah, because you see what happens is the people around them, advisors and managers and everybody else, they're trying to maximize his earning potential. And so be it. I could have sat back and picked up a lot of handy paydays, but that's just not my mentality. I wanted to push on. I wanted to prove. And I had the belt, and I was just like, "What's next?" People were saying to me, "You must be made up. That you've finally achieved your dream." Yeah, I've achieved my dream, but I'm only 31 at the time. I'm only 31 years of age. Like I have a lot more to go. So what's next? What's the next hurdle? What's the next goal? You just keep raising the bar. If I had to become a unified champ, I would have been pushing to be undisputed. If I couldn't get that, I would have moved up to 126 and try and become a featherweight world champion, become a two-weight world champion. You know, you just keep raising the bar, and that's what happens. And I'm a very competitive person, so I didn't want to sit back, and I shouldn't have let it get in my head. But I'm critical of world champions doing it. Yeah. So when I became a world champ, didn't want to be hypocritical. I had to go and do what I always wanted to do. You know.
Now, speaking of featherweight, I mean the rumor is possibility of a bout with Kazuma. Am I pronouncing his name right?
Or is that Iwasa?
Yeah.
Oh no, Iwasa's still a super bantamweight, John. So there's a couple of featherweight champions. I haven't really got my eye on the ball on those guys at the second, but if the right opportunities don't present themselves in enough time, I will consider moving up to 126 because I do like I'm starting. The bigger I'm getting, the stronger I'm getting. The harder it is to make the weight, and it's becoming a really struggle. Like I'm empty when I'm on the scales, you know. So it'd be nice to have those extra 4 pounds. I think it'd be a bit stronger at featherweight as well. But look, it's just we just have to bide our time and see what opportunities present themselves in the next 6 to 12 months, I suppose, you know.
Yeah. Well, if you work hard enough, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
You're living proof of that.
Yeah, and John, like, I didn't have another thing is like I didn't have the luxury of coming off the Olympic Games with a high profile, or having promoters knocking the door down trying to get my signature. I turned professional off my own belief. I seen a few of the Irish guys, the likes of Carl Frampton and Jamie Conlon, and these boys were making noise back in the UK around the time when I turned professional, and I was like, you know what? I'm just running around Sydney here. I was partying and I was having a bit of fun. I was enjoying
Yeah,
life.
you
I
called
kind of
yourself a beach bum.
a bit of a beach bum. Yeah, that's all I was doing. I
It's
was
a
down
great
sitting on the
phrase.
beach, having a few beers and
Yeah,
stuff. And it's just, you kind of get to a stage where just like it's fun for a while, but it's like, hang on a second. I know that like I don't have a qualification or a trade or anything, so it's like, hang on, this was my apprenticeship. I've been doing this since I was 9, 10 years old. So like, let's make something of it. So I turned professional, but when I turned professional, I had no backing, no TV backing. I was fighting in a hall with 50 people in it in Hurstville, getting paid peanuts from my first 5, 6 fights, and
mm.
I generated a bit of interest and a lot. We've a massive Irish community in Sydney, and they really got behind me. I have a lot of friends there from Cork City and that,
Yeah,
and
you had a
they,
bout there in the Irish Centre as well, didn't you?
I had a bout in the Irish Centre myself and Dennis Hogan, who's making great noise in the middleweight and the light
Yeah,
middleweight division as well. He's just joined forces with Wayne McCullough. But yeah, we fought in the Irish Centre in Brisbane. That was, I think, was my third fight. So yeah, look, it's been a long, rocky road. But I always said, and I used to invest in myself, and any money I get
yeah,
from a fight, I'd put straight back into the next fight. I've
yeah,
paid my own sanction fees. I've paid to get my opponents flown into Australia. I've paid for their
it's incredible.
food, board, everything. And I was coming out with, like, I would have been making money from the fights, but I was using that money to pay for my opponents because I was looking at the bigger picture. I said, this is going to pay off when we get like 12, 15 fights in. And that's when I started getting world rated. And
Yeah,
then I got picked up by a promoter in America, and we've since parted ways. But yeah, I got my have to like say well done to my original manager, Mike Altamore, who still works with me, and our good friend Sean Gibbons, who
yes,
positioned me well, got me a world title eliminator in Thailand on late notice, and
yes.
yeah, we went there and we we did the business and we solidified a world title fight then for 2018. So yeah,
Wow.
it's been a long rocky road, and I've done it the hard way. I went and I snatched the belt off the world champion in his home stadium, which
Yeah,
has only been done by one other Irish or UK person in history, So, and that was Wayne McCullough. So
Wayne.
it's
Yeah,
it's quite an amazing feat, but I don't think about it enough now because I'm always thinking about what's next. But I never really look back and say
yeah.
I'm after coming a long way.
You're in an elite group of two.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, John.
It's
But
incredible.
like sometimes I'm so hard on myself and I'm so competitive. Like my belt was sitting under my mom's bed since I got back from LA when I fought Roman, and I just
Yes,
got my friends to bring it back out to Australia to me, and it's in the bedroom, and it's like I should have it out on display. I know guys that just have all their little belts and all that they won on the way up, and everybody's really proud of them. But I'm just like, that's staying in there now to become a world champion again. I don't know why I'm like that, but I should be having sitting there like a little token to remind me of everything I've done. But I've kind of like I'm just pushing to try and get back there, and yeah. So
yeah.
I don't know. It's just it's a mental block. I
You have
can't
the
enjoy it
fire.
properly.
You have the
You know?
fire in the belly. But TJ,
Yeah.
going back to the start of the road, like, well, what's your earliest sporting memory in Portlaoise?
Ah, geez. Winning the Rack O'Brien tournament down in the under 10s Rack O'Brien down in Rosslyn Park when I was
Yeah.
only 7 or 8 years old. I'll never forget it. I got stung by a bee and ran off the pitch crying to my mum because I was only about
Oh,
7 and came back on then and scored a goal. That's my earliest sporting memory, I'd say. And in Portlaoise was playing the Rack O'Brien, then playing the under 10s with Portlaoise. And yeah, we won the Combined Counties League and that up until under 12s. And then, I picked up hurling and I was playing golf and I was into all sports.
yeah. I read you have a very soft spot for the hurling.
Yeah, well, I would have liked to stay at it, but it's just with the boxing, it's all or nothing with boxing. You got to give it
Yeah,
100% of your time. And when things
100%.
start getting serious with boxing, like I started, like your first official fight when you're 11 years is when you're 11 years old. I didn't win an amateur fight till I was 13. Now, for a kid to be that age and losing the first 7 fights, first 7 fights, you think you get this hand and pack it in and go back because I was quite a good little soccer player underage and I was quite good at the hurling too.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I don't know, I just
I
always had the
remember you
love for
playing the
boxing.
soccer in St. Fintan's
Oh yeah, when I was with Portlaoise Celtic,
with
yeah.
Portlaoise Celtic, Willie Carey
Yeah.
and Pat Lopman and all the boys.
That's right. Yeah, I was on the
Yeah,
left wing for the boys then. Yeah, that was just before I came to Australia, actually.
that's
Yeah.
right. That's right. Because going back to that, I mean, obviously, I mean, you had the early when you were starting out as a kid, and you had all those defeats in the ring earlier on. like you kept going. See, this is the whole thing with you, TJ. You just keep going. I mean,
Hmm.
you're an inspiration, really. Um, can you remember, like you had Pat Ryan as one of your coaches? Were there
Hmm.
any other mentors or coaches down there that inspired you or encouraged you, or had a, put the arm around the shoulder and said, "Keep going, TJ. There's something there. Keep going. Keep going."
Oh, I'm telling you, John. I think it was just. I think it's just in me. I think aside from Pat Ryan, it was probably just myself and just my competitive nature. And like I've got a 3-year-old son here, Theo, and you
Theo,
can just
yes.
see it in him. Everything's a race. He's 3 years old, and everything's a race. I'm wanting to win. Like you could be just walking to the shop. He wants to get there before you. Everything. I see. He had his friend over here today, and everything he was competing against. He wasn't playing with him. He was competing against him. So I
Yeah,
can kind of see a little bit of myself in him. It's just a
yeah,
competitive nature, which
the,
I'm
yeah.
glad I have because it makes me work hard and I've got a good work ethic.
The,
And
the the apple didn't roll too far from the tree.
no, certainly not with Theo anyway. He has all my good traits and my bad ones. Unfortunately,
Yeah, I
he's a little
know.
bit of a hothead too.
No, well, sure. Look, it's but and then there was another example of you not quitting in a sense. Basically, you lost out. You couldn't get into the Irish squad for the Beijing Olympics. Like how tough was that? I
Yeah,
think
that
John
was
Joe I think John Joe Nevin got in, didn't he? Wasn't it John Joe?
John John Evan beat me in the national finals. And
Yeah,
what happened was I was the number two, obviously, because I'd been beaten in the finals. John Joe was the number one. So there was two Olympic qualifiers. There was one in Athens and one in Italy. And
mm,
I was second choice, so I'm going to the second qualifier if John Joe doesn't get through. But like luckily enough for John Joe, he qualified in the first one. But unfortunate for me, and that was early 2008, and that was it. It was gut wrenching. That's your dream. You're growing up as an amateur fighter. I didn't really have much interest in the pros. Like you hear a lot of fighters talking about wanting all you ever wanted to be was a professional world champion. I never really had my eye on that. All I had my eye on was making the Olympic Games and hoping to medal. You got to
yeah,
be realistic. Like obviously the gold medal is the target, but like you got to be realistic. Qualifying for the Olympics is one, and then the next goal would be to medal and so on. But yeah, it was gut wrenching, John, and it kind of I was down and I was kind of hating on boxing a little, so I took some time out instead of take a year, and that's when I went
yeah,
to Australia and kind of just fell in love with the place, really.
yeah. And then basically you're you're very modest when you say you're quite popular in Port and then all your friends were saying, "Oh, you'll be back in 3 months," and you
Yeah,
stuck it
that's
out.
right. Yeah,
And then you come back. You were saying you came back during the depths of the recession, and you found it tough because everyone was down in the dumps. People were struggling. You found that hard,
yeah,
didn't you? Even your
yeah. I come
family.
back. Yeah, it was even like just watching my family and everybody's trying to make ends meet, and I still had like a valid visa for Australia, and I was kind of like looking around me and going,
Mm,
I got a quite a good opportunity here, and I've got a good network in Sydney who still look after me. That's where all my sponsors are from. They're all from the Irish community. All my sponsors come from the Irish community, and yeah, I kind of just said, look, I can sit here and I can just fall into not the trap, but like the kind of hole that everybody was stuck in. No, through no fault of their own. It was the economic downturn what caused it. But um, yeah, that's when I just said, look, I'm just going to book the ticket and get back out to Australia. And yeah, straight away I was back in Australia and I was back in work the following day, where there was guys that would have gave their left arm to get a day's work back in Ireland at the time.
yeah, it was a tough time. It was a tough time.
That's right.
And you have a soft spot for Australia, don't you? Because it's not the center of the boxing universe. It could be. It
No,
would be so much easier for you to be living in Dubai or living, for example, in Las Vegas.
yeah,
Yeah.
or LA or somewhere. Yeah, it'd be nice. Sorry.
Sorry, our technician Nathan here is pointing at the watch. Don't mind. Don't sorry. Ignore me. Go on. Yeah, Australia, TJ.
Yeah, so yeah, Australia's just it's such easy living, and they've got a great like this is kind of the boring stuff, but it's just a very well run country, and there's massive opportunities here for anybody that comes here, to make a life. And I've made a really good group of friends, who are all in Sydney at the moment. I'm staying in
Mm,
Perth, but I just got a really good network around me, and I felt at home in Sydney, and yeah, just you grow a love for the place. I wouldn't be here 12 years if that wasn't
yeah.
the case. But yeah, it is a really good country, and the opportunities are endless. So
And where you're living now sounds like paradise. You're 5 minutes from the beach.
Yeah, I'm just outside Scarborough here in Western Australia, so that's one of the popular beaches here as well, so it's great, it's even great there for Theo to bring him down, and he's always messing around the boogie board and the waves, and it's just close to the beach. It's easy living, it's a great lifestyle, That's why so many of us are out here, and plus the area what I'm living in, there's quite a big Irish community. Like you go around
Beautiful.
to the shops in the corner and you can spot an Irishman a mile away anyway,
You
but then you
can.
hear the accents and all. So it makes, because I'm terrible. I'm here 12 years and I think the homesick gets worse the longer I hear, but I think when I do hear the Irish voices and all, it just gives me a little sense of a little feeling of home, and a sense of belonging, because like Portlaoise is a nice and it's close knit town, and everybody knows everybody kind of, so you have a sense of community and belonging there, But
Yeah.
I kind of feel that here with the Irish community as well.
Yeah. And when you, for example, you came home with the world title belt and the reception you got in Port and then when you went down to Knockmay, I mean, you were gobsmacked by that. Why were you surprised? World
I don't
champion.
know. Again, John, I'm looking at him like, geez, this is for me, because like in one sense I did always want to keep myself grounded. I never got in a big head and gotten brash, but I was just really surprised. I wasn't expecting it, I really wasn't expecting the turnouts and the reaction from people, and I kind of got a little overwhelmed, and I started like going all. I kind of turned into a little bit of an introvert for a while because there were so many people trying to get in contact with me, and I know they meant well and they wanted
Of course.
me to show up here and show up there and do like talks for schools and stuff, but I had no experience in it and I hadn't got the confidence, John, because it all just happened all of a sudden, and I was so focused on becoming a world champion and so focused on my craft and becoming a world champion that I never worked on the other areas. Like I never went and got any media training or anything like that, where I could have been able to go and give these talks and
You
stuff.
you
And
couldn't tell, TJ. Honestly,
I know, and this is
you're
what I'm
natural.
saying. And
You're natural.
I get nervous before them, and that's why I'm like, oh God, I can't do that, And then when I get them, I'm on the flow, and then I kind of just, I'm chatting away, and it is just normal. And what people do say to me to give me advice, they just say, just pretend like it's talking to one of your friends.
Exactly.
And you know what? The penny dropped when they said that to me. So now I just keep it comfortable. I used to be always worrying about, oh, what if I sound like this or sound like that? And just be yourself,
Yeah.
and
Be yourself.
if
Yeah.
they don't like it, they don't like it. But if they like it,
Yeah.
it's good and well for me,
Well, coming back into town with the world belt, you were so good, especially with the kids. I watched you. You were so good.
Yeah.
Like the legacy is incalculable. Basically, you have local kids now. They have a world champion in their town. I mean, I'd say Port Boxing Club. They'll have to build an extension because probably can't cope with the numbers. Well, they
Yeah.
probably couldn't before the lockdown. It's an incredible legacy.
Yeah, no, it is. It's great, and as one thing, what I really wanted to do for the club was because um, I like the number one goal was to become the first national senior champion for Portlaoise Boxing Club, and I was beaten in 3 finals. And luckily enough, and I always wanted to do that to give back to Pat Ryan, because he's done so much for me throughout my career.
He's a legend.
And he's to this day he still does, and he's just a
Yeah.
pure townie, and it's not only in boxing, it's in other sports too. But yeah, so I was just so happy to win the world title, where I could always just go, I didn't get to the senior title, Pat, but I'm home with the world title, and he's so happy,
And
so proud of me. He has a shrine of me up in the boxing club, and he's
well,
always in touch
you
with me.
deserve it, and hopefully you'll come back with another world belt. I
Yeah, oh,
expect it.
without a doubt, John.
I
Like
expect it.
that last,
You're driven.
yeah,
It's
that
wonderful.
last performance, you could look at it and you could think,
It's a bit.
oh Jesus, he
It's a
doesn't
bit.
look like he was last year. But I'm
Yeah.
telling you now, 100%, I will be a world champion in the next 12 to 18 months,
I
and
know you
not
will.
not only with myself, but the team I have around me to push me. And
I know
just
you
once
will.
everything's done professionally and 100% and no cutting corners,
Yeah.
I can
Good luck.
guarantee I'll be back.
It's going to happen. So thanks for taking the time out today to chat with us, TJ. I
Yeah,
hope Rebecca and Theo are well.
yeah, they are. Well,
Theo,
Theo's in bed and Becca's she's hiding in a corner
yeah.
here.
But thanks again, and all the best for the future. And
Yeah.
hopefully you'll be back in Port sometime soon after after
Yeah,
the
please
lockdown
God.
is
As
lifted.
soon as things open back up, yeah, I hope to
Exactly.
get back, and I should catch up with you for a coffee or something, John.
Look
Yeah, I
forward
just
to
want to
it.
say thanks very much to you for having me on, and just want to say
Pleasure.
hello to everybody who's back home listening to me, and all of my fans and supporters. I appreciate it. it doesn't go unnoticed. Even though I'm quite quiet on social media, it doesn't go unnoticed. And I just want to say thanks to everybody for your support. It's spurring me on, and it won't be long before I bring another belt back home.
I know, definitely. Okay, TJ, have a great day in paradise. It sounds lovely over there.
Yeah,
And
it's not too. It's
congratulations on the new house.
Oh, thanks very much, John. Thank you. And yeah, so yeah, thank you, and thanks to Nathan. And yeah, looking forward to the next chat.
Only for him. Might be lost. We're learning new skills. The good thing about the lockdown and is we have to try new skills, you know, and try new things. Otherwise, we go mad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. At least we're able to do it from the comfort of our homes, or I don't know if you're at home, but it's nice to be able to do interviews from the comfort of your own home, you know.
We built a little studio here.
Yeah, it's looking well, actually, very professional there with the mics and all. I'm here with my iPhone AirPods.
Well, we're learning. We've had a few, you know, tech issues, but sure, look, you're learning.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll have a go anyway.
Yeah, exactly. You're learning on the job, and yeah, at least, and it's given me an opportunity to, you know, be able to send a little message back home too, you know. So I'm really appreciative of that. So
it's appreciated, TJ. Okay, and see you soon.
Okay, John.
Stay safe.
Okay, take care, buddy. I'll see you soon. All right.
TJ, bye now. Bye.
Take care. Thanks.